Coach John, bike coach.
Yes, ma'am.
Why do we want to do, what is cadence?
Cadence on the basic level is just simply how many times are you turning the pedals over. It's all about how many times you're turning the crank. Obviously, the more times the pedals turn over, the more the chain moves, the more the chain moves, the more the tire moves.
Excellent. Why else do we want to do cadence work?
Cadence, in the end, it's all about expenditure of energy.
Yeah.
You have X amount of energy that you're on the bike the longest in this sport. And so this can make or break you.
Okay.
If you can learn to manage your cadence, to conserve your energy and propel yourself at as good a rate as you can, in the end, you'll be fresher to run and you'll have a better race.
Excellent. Some schools of thought are when you learn how to maintain a good cadence throughout a race, training and stuff like that, it forces you to be more efficient. So it's a nice way to learn efficiency as well. And so I've done Wisconsin twice, right? And that's a hilly race. And so one of the important parts is maintaining cadence. So you learn how to shift your bike so you don't burn your quads out.
Absolutely. One of the things you'll hear kind of people talk about is grinding or spinning. As a general rule, what they talk about grinding, most of your bikes will have 2 chain rings on them. That's
right.
the big ring that your chain goes around. The front of the bike's what the pedals are connected to. All right? The bigger of those 2 rings, as a general rule, we talk about more of it's your ring that you use most of the time when you're riding. And that's, a lot of people call that grinding. It's just a way to propel yourself a little quicker. The smaller ring, you'll hear people talk about spinning. When we go up hills, a lot of us talk about spinning because what it does is it allows us to keep that cadence up, but yet the energy expenditure is not as high.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So you're biking. Look at you biking. Awesome. And
here.
So there are multiple ways to keep track of cadence. I do it with my watch, with the Garmin sensors on my watch. That's one way to do it.
Right.
Cat eyes are maybe a cheaper version, but it's, an extra thing to have on your bike, and it takes up real estate. And frankly, you've got your phone here,
yeah.
But sometimes real estate is very precious on your bike.
Absolutely. Normally, if you can kind of see here, when I race, there's a water bottle, an arrow bottle that sets, and this is exactly what mine looks like. And so it sits right there, so that piece of real estate's taken.
Yep.
And the other thing, at least at the bigger level races, you can't have your phone out there.
Right.
So you can't utilize that as your computer, so to speak.
So yeah, Garmin sensors maybe, whatever. But one thing is if you train enough with cadence, you can show up to a race and you'll do what you do in training. So you and the team use Swift. And so your cadence is, where's it at?
Right now it's up here in the corner. I'm averaging right now about 78, 79 RPM. I'm running 169 watts. You will see.
Catch that dude.
So catch that dude?
Yeah, the one in the blue. Can you catch that dude?
So I'll drop down a gear.
Right, I heard that.
And we'll see if we can catch this guy. I'm running about 20 miles an hour right now.
And
I have no idea how fast this guy is, but I'm about 22 miles an hour.
So it says your RPMs are 173. Your RPMs aren't 173.
Yeah, not.
That's about 100 maybe, right?
I'd say it's about 130 right there.
Huh.
See, I'm catching him.
You can't run into anybody here though, can you?
I'm going to go right by him.
Shoo! Okay. Anyway, cadence. So cadence is really important. It's kind of the foundation. You don't need to be working on power and all this other stuff. Heart rate and cadence are really the first things that you need to be kind of focused on. Once you get those, then you you know, move up to the next step with stuff. You don't skip this one.
Nope.
Okay.
Start at the beginning.
All right, and then so shifting wise, let's just do a real quick. Show us how you shift the gears nicely, right?
All right, so I just have a 10-speed bike. I don't have a massive amount of gears. Your left hand. This is the shifter that moves from the big ring to the small ring. So right now I'm on the big ring. I pull that down, and you can, I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, you gave it a little bit of a pause.
I gave it a little pause, but changing that gear from the big ring to the small ring, all of the tension went out of the pedals.
Right.
So my cadence on swapping those two gears, excuse me, chasing that guy, broke a sweat. The smaller ring, this is why we call it spinning. There isn't the tension on the pedals. You're not working near as hard to maintain that cadence.
So be mindful, folks. He's on the trainer, and it's a smarter trainer. Right. You don't need a smarter trainer. The point is that, like my trainer and his trainer, once you shift down like that, there's going to be a lag in response. Right. So it's going to keep the tire going. So if you don't want to drop a chain and stuff, you need to be pretty ginger about moving big ring, chain ring while you're on a trainer or you're hill climbing. So you need to be kind of cautious. But the point is that when you're shifting, see how he gave it a pause. Mm-hmm. He let the chain get on there, and then he kind of nudged it a little bit with his legs for the first couple of RPMs. He was nice and soft with it for a second. Right. So you kind of let off a little bit and then get into it.
Because when you pop up, especially if you're going from small to big, you're going to notice an immediate large difference in the amount of pressure you have to put on the pedals.
Right.
We measure that pressure in what we call watts. And you will see, you know, a marked difference in the amount of force you need to drive into the pedals to make them turn.
Right.
And it's real easy to pop your chain if you just jam it. Give it a second, let it settle on the teeth of the cassette, and then you can go from there.
The other thing to do is if you're dropping down into that small train ring, and especially if you're, you need to decide to do these things prior to being on a hill. Mm-hmm. And the thing you should do, and we'll do more videoing on this, is if you're going down a small chain ring, you're going to have to change the back ring too, because if you just drop it down, you're going to be in the lowest gear you've got. Right. So you got to do small chain ring and then make the back gearing different to find the spot that you actually want to be at.
Right. Absolutely.
Or you're going to spin. It's going to be like free spinning, and then the chain is going to have lost all its tension and slack, and something bad's going to happen.
And then you're going to spend 20 minutes on the side of the road trying to get your stuff back
together.
Oh,
yeah. So. And if you are on a hill doing these shenanigans, and you drop your chain going up a hill and you come to an immediate stop, not only are you going to probably tip over, but someone behind you could run into you. I know that a friend of ours, Kitty Cole, she got taken out of her race. No, did she finish that whole race, or did she stop after the bike?
I think she stopped after the bike.
She stopped after the bike at World Championship because some chick stopped right in front of her and she ran into her. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. Shift your gears prior to the hill.
Absolutely.
Practice here.
You need to be thinking 3 to 5 seconds ahead of where you're at. It's like driving a car.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we were talking about shifting and RPM. Let's now talk about, dude, do you stand up to get up a hill or not? Oh, the dilemma.
Yes and no. To talk a little bit about standing and climbing, one of the things that we need to kind of discuss here is the bike you're on. Okay? The time trial bike, the triathlon bike, so to speak. These bikes here, they're made with just a little different shape than a
geometry.
Right, a little different design than a traditional road bike. These bikes are made to generate power in this position. All right, when you are down in what we call aero, which is out on the bars, this is how the bike is designed to produce power. Okay, so for this bike, for me to be up here, it's kind of an awkward position.
Right.
When you see a road bike, what you will see is the handlebars go the other way. All right, they're what they call bull horns. They come down, and what that does is allow you to grip that bull horn, pull up against it, and really come like this. So there is no hard and fast rule that you have to be on a triathlon bike. Road bikes work fantastic in our sport, and matter of fact, at the entry level, it's probably very prevalent. So, with that being said, climbing statistically, scientifically has been proven you're going to be more efficient with your butt on the seat. Okay? A lot of people will watch the pros, they'll watch the Tour de France, they watch these guys that are world-class climbers. Yes, they stand to climb. Some of them are very good at it. At that level, they're all very good at it. However, most of us at the beginning level, your power generation is going to be better with your butt on the saddle. So
maintaining cadence,
maintaining keep
gearing.
Your cadence up, keep your rhythm up versus trying to. What I see a lot of when people stand up is they get jerky.
Yep.
They don't have the gear set right, and so all of a sudden they stand up and they create all this power and they drive their foot down, and then they're going, well, whoa, wait a minute, and they get all out of rhythm, and then any momentum that they've gained from that increase of power they lose because they're all over the road.
Right.
I would rather see you keep your backside on the saddle, push your feet down, and drive forward.
Okay.
Maintain control.
Absolutely. So that's kind of a general principle on how to approach racing training from a point of view. But that's not saying that standing up and doing stand-up work on the bike isn't useful.
Absolutely.
Because you learn a ton of stuff on how to manage your core, getting up and down, and sometimes on those hills, there might be a smidge where you do need to stand up.
You very well
Every once in a while, you'll be like, oh, shoot, I need to stand up and go.
Yeah, no, it's, when you get into the big climbs, and, granted, at the entry level, you're probably not going to see a lot of these because most of the entry level races are not held on courses where you're going to have ridiculous climbing. But, yeah, some of the big climbs, you're going to need to use every bit of your body, and that's your core, your back, your glutes. It's not like just sitting here just going, well, okay, I'm just going to sit here and grip the handlebars real hard and squeeze my quads.
Absolutely. So let's do a little bit of stand-up and show them gearing, making the gearing just a smidge harder.
Okay.
So when you do stand up, you kind of keep your core engaged, try to keep your center of gravity over that seat,
So when I stand up, you're going to see me actually a little more over the front tire.
Right.
All right.
And you're a tall guy too,
And
so
I'm
that's part of it.
6'2", so I'm gonna shift down to where my gearing is a little harder, so my foot has got some resistance when it comes down.
Right.
All right. And the thing I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to engage my core so that the bike isn't doing this.
Right.
I don't want to be going back and forth. All right. That's common a little bit because of the fact that your balance is, you're off center. You got one leg down, one leg up. But the more stable you can stay, and on a trainer, this is one of the things that happens is I stop pedaling so the trainer locked down.
Right. Okay.
So,
yeah. So, and then when you sit back down, you kind of get your core together, and then just keep the RPMs coming.
Right.
Shift back when you need to, and then off you go. So when you see these workouts that say, you know, stand up for a minute, sit down for a minute, they're no joke. They're the same as running intervals. Do not
Absolutely.
skimp on them.
No.
But the part is that when you're learning how to pull up and doing the single leg drills, you need to do that activity when you're standing up too. It is really good practice. It is good to burn through the quads. You could almost think of it like a HIIT workout.
Absolutely.
And it does lots of physiological things, but you don't need to plan on racing like that. It's mostly a training tool.
Absolutely. It'll simply allow you to vary your arsenal.
Yep.
It gives you the opportunity when you are presented with something that's a little out of your scope to go, I've seen that before.
Yep.
So
Let's do one more thing and then let's call it. So
Okay.
we didn't do really, I'm going to focus on, you're running at 75, 80 RPM. So let's think about kicking it up a notch and, you know, getting an arrow and doing like 95.
okay. So typically what I'm going to do is shift up just a degree or two. And just that easy. I'm not working any harder, but the pedals are going to turn easier.
But if you notice, look at his torso, his shoulders, his face, his neck, his heart's forward. He's not bouncing.
Right.
Your core is keeping you stable. And because what you want to do on this high RPM work, this high RPM work sucks, but it is going to help you be more efficient. Because as he goes faster, so go a little bit faster, he's going to engage his core more. He's not bouncing. And he's teaching the legs how to run like pistons in the hip sockets.
Perfect circles is what we're looking for.
Right. And can you go a smidge faster? So he's going pretty quick cadence now. He's like, this sucks, whatever, keep going. And there you go, good job. And this is where the easy spin comes in.
And then you drop it back down a little bit.
So cadence work is really important to do. This cadence work, it helps you to become more efficient so you can maintain that ideal. And we didn't say this clearly, but everybody's cadence is slightly different.
Absolutely.
You will find your cadence doing work by watt and doing power work. Everybody is different. Their bike fit is different. Their psoas hip angle is different. Everybody's a smidge different, but you want to be aiming toward, because generally everybody's a little too slow and a little too quad heavy.
Right.
Very common to be quad heavy, and this is the number one way to fix that.
And you know, we'll teach you some stuff here, probably in upcoming videos about how to, you know, drop your heels, do some things to engage your hamstrings,
Yeah.
to where it's not all this, because you'll wear the quads out if you just go all quads. So.
Yep, and then when you get to the run, you're walking.
Then you're hurting.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, that's a basic understanding of this. We'll do some more stuff later, a little more in depth. We're going to talk a little bit about some more race-specific things with Cadence in an upcoming video. But this will give you a basic understanding of where we're at.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach John.
Thanks. Have a good night, guys.